All right, I'm rolling. So I used to run my own company. I used to run a sales company, and now I work at a coffee shop, a bakery. Like I bring people coffee. I'm a barista. And what happened? What happened there? So tell you a quick story, right? I used to do door-to-door sales, selling telecom services, internet, and obviously that's boring. Nobody wants to hear door-to-door. And that was a big part of me actually developing myself, developing some social skills. This is one of the reasons I can actually talk to you guys on camera right now. And yeah, that's pretty much where it went from. But the biggest thing is once we got really good at sales, myself and my brother, we decided, all right, let's branch out, let's do our own thing, let's hire our own people and do the sales that way. And it was great. It wasn't the best. But there was definitely profit to be made. You could, on a good year, if everything's going well, you could make 100, 200,000 extra as profit, as not just revenue, but profit in the business. But the only thing is, with the worsening of the economy and just basically everything getting worse, it just became nonsense. There was absolutely no point in continuing. So pretty much how it went, starting out, it wasn't easy, obviously. Figuring out how to run a company, even though we had mentors, we had people help us. It was quite the interesting experience. Let's just put it that way. I refer to it now as my past life. And from that point onwards, as we got better, the market seems to be getting worse. So people are less likely to buy things, and it just became more and more difficult to not only maintain the sales volume, but also a lot of expenses came in. We got our own office, a physical location, and honestly, I think, and it's not only my opinion, but physical businesses are not very profitable these days, if at all. If a physical location, a business manages to break even these days, that's a huge win. And I'm talking for like a small local business. I'm not saying a huge corporation. And while we were doing that, obviously, we had payroll to pay. So that was roughly 60% of the revenue went to payroll. So that's paying your employees. And obviously, there are building costs, monthly rent for a unit. It was like a office, 3,000 square foot, something like that. It was about 3,200 per month. Of course, you have taxes, other fees, accountants, all kinds of business expenses, softwares that you pay for. And what ends up happening is this is how it ended. Even on a good month, like a really good month, sales were high. Summertime is usually the best time for this. You'd break even. How scary is that? Yes, that means other months you're just losing money. You're burning. You're just burning through cash. You're bleeding. And even if you manage to save up some money so we would be able to stay profitable some months you go negative, that's natural. But it became harder and harder to stay profitable, to which some months we couldn't even pay ourselves. Obviously, we'd have to use the business expenses or business deductions for many things, but I have rent to pay. I have to pay for my car, for a lot of things, right? And it just became nonsense. While that was happening, when I was considering my options, what should I do? Should I continue? Should I just try to get better, get into a better market? Whatever it was, I also asked around. So while you're doing sales, the cool thing is when you're going door to door, you do meet some interesting people. I've met people who used to manage franchises, who own multiple gas stations, pizza shops, bakeries. And after talking to them as business owner to business owner, turns out they don't make any money. Unless they actually put themselves on the schedule and they go and work a normal shift to which they are basically guaranteed their own pay, there's no profit left over afterwards. So that's the question. Why are you running a business? Because running a business takes up all of your time. It takes up the entire day. You wake up, it's business. You go to sleep, it's business. So if you're doing that, why what's the point if you're making the same money that everybody else is making, who just works there for 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever the shift is, and it starts becoming nonsense. And then I ran into a guy who was really high up the chain. He was a regional manager for a certain gas station, whatever, I don't know the name, but the point is, it was really interesting to talk to him, and I was asking, so like, what kind of revenue, what's left over after all the sales, after everything, and what does he keep? What's his percentages? And this guy's like, yeah, it's about 2,000 a week. And I just thought, holy crap. So how long did it take you to get here? It's about 15 to 20 years. 15 to 20 years to grind your way up to becoming a regional manager for a franchise, and you're only making 100K? That is criminal. What is that? Like, I mean, think about it. That's actually insane. And I'm not saying 100K is little. These days it's a lot less than before, but only that's it, and you work 24/7. That just sucks. And looking at so many opportunities, this is why our generation, we don't want to open up, we don't dream of opening up a location. All of us want to work online, own an online store, personal brand, start a channel, whatever it is. We're not looking to open up a coffee shop anymore. Back in the day, or maybe our parents' generation, the boomers' generation, that was prime time. That was, an ambitious 20-year-old is like, I'm going to own my own car garage shop, or I'm going to own my own thing, brick and mortar location. And now it turns out none of us want to do that. And I'm speaking from experience where I literally had to give that up because it was so unprofitable. It didn't make any sense. Losing money, bleeding money every time, every single month. And you're just asking yourself, what am I doing all this for? Everything you start doing in the day, from hiring people to jumping on all these calls with the clients, and you're thinking, this is so pointless. What is the point of all this? And so that's where the world's headed. We don't want to open up new locations. And of course, construction businesses, I think they're still the most legit thing you can have, because construction is always going to be in demand. Somebody needs to build houses, somebody needs to do plumbing, and people open up their personal businesses to do that, or they hire a team and they work together. But outside of that, you notice so many offices are vacant. When I was looking for an office location myself, that was 3 years ago, or maybe 2 or 3 years ago. There were already so many vacant spaces. It's unbelievable. Like, half the building was empty already. Now, I imagine it's even more empty. So that's just it. Our generation, Gen Z, even, and anyone younger, we're not going to be opening up locations. It's not profitable. It's a waste of time. And we're better off just doing things online. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.